What's up everybody, Matt Maran here, and I am back at Blackout Tinting here in Latrobe, PA to get the Expel Prime XR Plus window tint put on the Bullitt today. And huge thanks to Expel for sponsoring this video and hooking me up with this awesome window tint. So I'm going to be explaining, the process of how they put the window tint on and all the qualities and benefits that you get with the window tint. Window tint is something I haven't done on my vehicles for a while, but I think the unique qualities that the Prime XR Plus has made it a must-do for me for the Bullitt. First, about the tint. This is Expel's new Prime XR Plus, which is their top-of-the-line window film. And like the lower-cost Prime films, it blocks over 99% of the harmful UV rays while not interfering with any radio, cellular, or Bluetooth signals. So the standard Prime XR introduced this ceramic particle element a couple of years back to the film, which blocks the infrared solar radiation, which helps to keep your car cooler regardless of how dark the tint is, which is a really cool feature in my opinion. And so the XR Plus film goes one step further by improving this heat protection from blocking 80% to 98% of that heat. So this greater heat rejection keeps the car even cooler, making it easier on your air conditioning system as well, which can actually improve fuel economy slightly as well. But this was important to me because the main reason I wanted the tint was primarily to help preserve the Bullitt's interior, since I plan to keep this car my whole life. So blocking this UV light along with keeping the temperature cooler at all times should help reduce wear in the long run. Unfortunately, the windshield tint is illegal here in PA and can get ruined with our yearly inspection sticker, so I wasn't able to do windshield, which would be complete protection for the dashboard. But I decided to do the 55% tint on the sides and in the back there, mainly because I still wanted it to be light enough so I didn't have any issues with police and getting pulled over. To me, that wasn't worth a darker tint. And so that's why, it's nice with the XR Plus. It has the ability to provide the heat protection regardless of what shade tint. You can even go up to 70% tint and still get that same heat rejection, which is really cool because in the past you'd have to go to those dark tints in order to get those kind of properties, and now you don't need to with the Expel Prime XR Plus. And so it's something that a lot of other window films still don't offer. You still have to go super dark in order to get that. But anyway, for the install here, first they popped out these rubber window fittings around the windows there of the Bullitt, and this isn't a necessary step and not all shops do this, but it makes it easier and more seamless for them to install it. They also clean the windows, of course, to prepare them. And for the sides, it's relatively straightforward. They get it wet with a special solution and squeegee away the moisture to lock it in place. Very similar to the paint protection film like I showed last week. And then they just work out any of the bubbles and make sure, the fitment is just right. And Expel provides pre-measured cuts as well for the window tint there. And that automatically is done on a plotter. So it's, very, very precise. So the film is the exact right size and shape. It's also not required, but Blackout went above and beyond by also using a razor to smooth out the edges there on the corners of the windows to give the tint a factory look. So there isn't any kind of edges really. It's just really seamless. And the back window is definitely the hardest part. It was very difficult. It's always, especially with coupes, you're working in a tight space. But the first step for them was to heat shrink the tint on the outside of the rear window there to give it the exact size and shape that they need, which makes it a lot easier once they're actually inside of the vehicle. They're putting it in the back. It's tough because they're working in a tight space, but it's also tough because if the tint touches anything, it can be ruined with debris. You don't want, of course, any dust or hair or any kind of fuzz or anything, so you can't touch it on anything whenever you're putting it in that rear window, which again, in a tight space like that is tricky. But once it's in, they again work out any of the bubbles and use a special tool there to kind of reach the edges that they can't reach, with their normal fingers. And finally, they use a heat lamp to bake it a little further to speed up the process of the drying and help identify any other bubbles that may develop very early on and get those worked out before you leave the shop. And like with the paint protection film, the quality of the shop doing the work makes all the difference between doing a good install and a bad install. And Blackout Tinting in Latrobe, PA does excellent work, as you can see here, and I highly recommend them to anyone that's within driving distance. And their info can be found in the description below if you do want to talk with them about doing tint or paint protection film for your vehicle as well. For everyone else though, to find a high quality shop in your area, you're going to want to use the Certified Expel Installer tool, which is a search tool you can find on expel.com. All right, so the tint's all done. It looks really, really good. Like I said, I did 55% here. And just show you guys around a little bit here. Now it still needs a couple of days to cure. And it definitely mild. You can still obviously see into the vehicle very, very easily. But just as a comparison here of the windshield versus this, you can see, you know, it is tinted for sure. It does look a little darker, just not super, super dark, which is exactly what I wanted. It's just, you know, a mild tint, just for that protection and for the, you know, heat blocking properties, but nothing too intense. So anyway, huge thanks once again to Blackout Tinting for the great, awesome work they did here on this again. It looks awesome, and now the Bullitt is 100% ready to go. That is the only modification that I'm planning on making, is just the tint. I got the front end wrapped with the Expel paint protection film, so that's all set to go too. And yeah, so let me know your thoughts on the percentage of tint that I did and your thoughts on the Expel tint in the comments below. Huge thanks once again to Expel for sponsoring this video. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.